This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It's Tuesday, June 2nd, and right now on Good Morning Indiana.
We have police who hear us, who want the same justice and want the same peace that we do.
A message of unity as Indianapolis police and protesters walk arm in arm after demonstrations last night. We'll show you how the emotional moment unfolded.
Again, we'll take a look at those on a case-by-case basis. If it fits, then we will absolutely file it.
Dozens of arrests have been made after looting and violence that happened during days of demonstrations. New this morning what the Marion County prosecutor is saying about those who will face criminal charges.
After nearly a month delay in its election day in Indiana, working for you, we're breaking down the changes you can expect as you head out to the polls.
With more Hoosiers receiving unemployment benefits because of the pandemic, unfortunately, there are some willing to cheat the system. The plans the Department of Workforce Development says are in place to catch those that think no one is watching.
And we want to welcome you in here at 6 o'clock to Good Morning Indiana on this Tuesday. It's great to have you with us. I'm Lauren Casey. A very special welcome back to the studio for my colleague, Meredith Barrick. Meredith, it's great to have you here.
I am excited to be back with the family, even though we're not all together, unfortunately. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Raphael's still down in our Johnson County Bureau.
Good morning from the official living room, Meredith. It's great to have you back. And of course, Todd, isn't it wonderful that your forecast reflects Meredith's disposition, warm and sunny?
Exactly right. And we're going to, now that Meredith's back in studio, we're going to crank up the heat because she just radiates all that heat all the time and excitement. So,
where are we going here, Todd?
we're going to welcome you back. I mean, you're bright and sunny. That's what I meant by the heat. So, all right, we're getting into the 80s later on this afternoon with skies that are going to be mostly sunny. Live look in Bloomington right now shows the clear skies, or the process of clearing the skies out. There's been a little bit of lingering cloud cover down there in southern locales here throughout the morning hours. Here are the temperatures, not bad at all. 59 in Bedford, 62 in Greenfield. A little warmer to the north. Muncie still at 68 degrees. So a little bit of lingering cloud cover in spots this morning, but off to the west, we know that we are going to have clear skies because you don't see any clouds or precipitation out there. So throughout the day today, mostly sunny skies this morning, turning partly cloudy this afternoon. Humidity's still in check today. Even though the temperatures come up, the humidity's not all that bad with highs that'll be topping off in the mid to upper 80s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this morning. Maybe you're heading out to work, heading out to the polls. Here's a look on the near east side. I-70 at Rural Street and Keystone Avenue, where everything is traveling up to speed, both eastbound and westbound. No crashes, no delays right now around the metro area to slow down your Tuesday commute.
After 4 days of protests, a powerful turn of events as demonstrators and Indianapolis police walked together arm in arm, sending a message of peace and solidarity. The display coming after a tense face-off between the two groups past curfew. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning where it all happened. Alyssa, a change in things we saw last night.
That's right. A really powerful thing to see as well, Meredith. And protesters walked from the circle down section here, 46 and Meridian Street. They ended at 46th Street, so that is 46 blocks they walked. They were heading here to the governor's mansion. Protesters said they wanted to speak to the governor and give them their message, but they never quite made it to the governor's residence. After a brief standoff with police, the protest that started peacefully ended peacefully, with police marching alongside protesters back towards downtown Indianapolis. And this all started around 6:30 last night when protesters started to march north down Meridian Street, eventually squaring off with police. That 8 p.m. curfew came and went with a brief announcement by police that protesters had about 5 minutes to disperse. And then a few protesters approached. Moments of discussion and a hug. At one point, police took off their face shields. Around 9 p.m., protesters and police began to walk arm in arm back down towards the downtown.
Man, I got a lot of mixed emotions right now. I got a lot of mixed emotions, but I'm happy because I see everybody coming together. And that makes me very happy. And I see the police officers coming, they taking their stuff off, they make me feel like I'm not a threat, which I'm not. And that's good. It's steps. It's baby steps.
And Police officers shared with protesters that this is our city and we don't want to see it destroyed. They all want the same thing. And whether or not another protest is planned for the day, we don't know that yet. Of course, we'll get those details as soon as they're available. But from protesters is that this is a turning point between them and the relationship that city. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Mayor Joe Hogsett commended the actions last night in a statement saying, in part, we have a long, difficult road ahead if we are to address decades of mistrust and create meaningful change. In joining arms, it was an inspiring reminder of what makes Indianapolis a special place to call home, end quote.
At 6:05, cleanup is underway after the violent and destructive riots over the weekend. Workers began scrubbing off graffiti from the Soldiers and Sailors Monument and other markers here downtown. The executive director of the Indiana War Memorial says 80% of the city's monuments are damaged. To clean them up, it's not an easy process. A special solution is used to draw the paint out of this limestone before it can be washed away. And new this morning, the Marion County prosecutor says that protesters who loot or physically attack police will face criminal charges.
Prosecutor Ryan Mears also says, Lauren, that the curfew is legal. But I also wanted to know the latest on the appointment of a special prosecutor on the Drejon Reed case.
One of the things that people are protesting, sir, is the Drejon Reed case. But can you tell me anything about the appointment of the special prosecutor?
We filed about 36 hours after this case filed. We filed a motion for an independent prosecutor, which removes us from the case. At this particular point now, it's up for the judge to find a prosecutor to fill in that role as the independent prosecutor. I think it's important to note that a prosecutor has to be willing to accept that appointment. So, I'm sure the judge is reaching out to numerous people across the state, but it's something that someone has to be willing to accept and take on this responsibility. And I would imagine that's probably some of the reason as to why there's a delay. There's no specific time frame in place in terms of the decision must be made by this date or under this time period.
We saw some violations of the curfew last night. Can you enforce that? Is that constitutional?
There's a valid order in place, a valid emergency order in place, which prohibits people from being downtown. That's a Class B misdemeanor. Again, we'll take a look at those at a case-by-case basis. If it fits, then we will absolutely file it if it's appropriate. And so we're not making any blanket policy decision to say, hey, we're not going to enforce the curfew. I think that's counterproductive.
As these protests continue, what should they be aware of? What are you looking for?
To me, it's pretty simple. If you want to protest, I'm going to protect your right to protest. As long as you come down and you protest, you are free to express yourself as long as that expression doesn't physically harm anyone else or does not damage someone else's property. As long as you do that, you're not going to have any problems with the Marion County Prosecutor's Office.
The prosecutor goes on to say that in light of the pandemic, his office is taking a closer look to see who really needs to be behind bars. Meredith?
Raphael, thank you. Carmel Mayor Jim Brainerd is having second thoughts after announcing plans to sue the city of Minneapolis. He says the lawsuit was over the money Carmel spent responding to riots over the death of George Floyd. Brainerd later changed his mind last night, saying in part, quote, after some additional consideration, I've decided to put on hold the idea of a lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis. My intent was to send a message that their negligence cost many lives and millions in property damage across the country. You can read his full statement on our website, theindychannel.com.
Well, tensions remain, and in some cases, they've escalated in the past 8 days following George Floyd's death. The Trump administration is now calling on the country to end the violent protests, or else. John Lawrence has the latest.
President Trump threatening states with military force if violent protests don't end.
I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
National Guard troops were seen near the White House Monday afternoon.
Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future.
The president is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807, which allows the commander-in-chief to use the military to police U.S. streets.
He probably has no intention of doing it because the governors aren't going to let him do it.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says using military force would fan the flames.
This is a moment in our country where we need peace.
Tensions are still flaring in some areas, including Washington, D.C., where rubber bullets, flash grenades, and tear gas were used to disperse protesters before curfew so Mr. Trump could walk to a church for a photo op. In Oakland, California, numerous arrests for people breaking curfew and looting seen in areas like New York City and Los Angeles.
My father used to say we must learn nonviolence or we will face non-existence.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
In our Democracy 2020 coverage, today is Election Day here in Indiana, and many people chose to vote by absentee ballot. Others are voting in person. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning where people are voting, but Kelsey, they're doing it in a safe way. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Raphael. That's right. They are being safe. They are asking voters to bring face masks, and they're also keeping everyone 6 feet apart. You can see the line out here already out the door, and that's because they have tape on the ground keeping people 6 feet apart from one another. Now, we're here at the Broad Ripple High School, just one of 22 polling places in Marion County, and this year, things do look different. Election workers will wear personal protective equipment. They will also enforce social distancing. Hand sanitizer will be at every vote center, and you will be provided something to put over your finger to sign the electronic poll book. Races you will see on the ballot this year include races for public question, federal offices such as President and House of Representatives, state offices such as governor and state senators, county offices, and township offices. Now, some places are having you also bring your own black pen. That's not the case here in Marion County, but I do know that that is the case in other counties. Another thing you need to know is that you do need a government-issued voter ID that must have your name, your picture, and an expiration date. For everything you need to know about voting today in Indiana, head over to theindychannel.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, good reminders there. Thank you. Well, one of the highest profile races of the Indiana primary is the 5th District congressional seat. The district represents parts of Marion, Hamilton, Madison, and Blackford counties. 5 Democrats and 15 Republicans are running to replace Congresswoman Susan Brooks, who is not seeking re-election. Now, there are also 2 Marion County school districts that will be asking for more taxpayer dollars on the ballot. Washington Township and Beech Grove schools are both proposing an operating referendum and a construction referendum. The projects will pay for things like teacher raises and building improvements. You can find more information about those projects and the profiles of the 5th District candidates right now on the RTV6 app.
With thousands of Hoosiers on unemployment, some may cheat to get benefits. Coming up, the system now in place to find those committing fraud. But first, Todd, as I look outside of my living room window, it looks like a great day today.
It is going to be a great day, Raphael. A little warmer than it was yesterday, but will be just as sunny, and the humidity, that remains low as well. Temperatures right now in the 60s, but you see off to the west already in the 70s. We'll quickly go through the 70s into the mid to upper 80s today. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:12. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
To Keller and Keller.
Our Rebound Indiana initiative is tackling the issues that will help you make it through the pandemic. Our team continues to focus on those having difficulty with their unemployment benefits.
And Meredith, unfortunately, there are some people willing to cheat the system while others are waiting for their first check to arrive. There are plans in place to go after those who may think that no one is watching. It could cost you in the future.
We have a number of collection remedies, offsets against future income tax returns, offsets against lottery winnings, as you mentioned, is one that we do. We also have the ability to garnish wages in a number of circumstances where, we can receive some of your pay that you're entitled to. Also make you ineligible for future unemployment benefits until you've paid that back. So we have a number of remedies, and we've increased those over the years. And again, it's really that case where there's certainly nothing that we like with seeing any fraud in our system, but we feel like it's really important to the people who need this program that the public believes that this is a program that's only going to those who actually meet its qualifications. So there are a number of tools that we have to collect money back, and we've been very effective at that in recent years.
A big thank you this morning to Josh Richardson with the Department of Workforce Development. The time now is 6:17. It is time to check your forecast with the king of the Monon, Todd Clausen. Todd, will it be another good day to go biking on that great trail?
Yeah, you know, that trail or any other trail, whether it's the Beeline down there in Bloomington, Raphael, you're exactly right. And it was great to be out there yesterday. Today, it's going to be a little bit warmer, so you may have to take a little more water with you if you're going to be out there exercising as temperatures climb up into the 80s. But we're going to continue our nice stretch of sunny weather. We're starting off with plenty of sunshine as you look from downtown to the north, live on the RTV6 Weather Now camera network. And we'll have some high, thin clouds here this morning that will burn off for that bright blue sky this morning. And then as we get into the afternoon hours, we'll kind of build in those fair weather clouds once again, but the temperatures pretty comfortable. We're in the 50s and 60s anywhere you go. 63 in Bloomington, 58 right now in Richmond. 60 is the current temperature in Greencastle. Satellite radar picture, pretty quiet for us here all across the area. The clouds that kind of lingered from yesterday afternoon into the evening hours, and then eventually overnight they're starting to fan out. That is the good news, and back off to the west. You notice all the clear skies, this rain off to the east. Those are the showers that kind of snuck in here a little bit yesterday afternoon, but you do not have to worry about those this morning. However, this afternoon, models are picking up once again on a few spotty showers developing across parts of the area, as you see during the peak heating of the day. So can't completely rule it out as this warmer air starts to advance into the area. But if you did see one of these showers, it was just going to be very light. It's going to be very spotty, and that should be just about it. Definitely do not cancel any plans. Maybe you have a tea time on a golf course or something like that, or a barbecue in your backyard. Do not cancel it because of that rain chance this afternoon. It would just be very, very spotty and light. Better rain chances, though, as we go into the next 3 days. Tomorrow, 89 degrees with storms only in the afternoon and evening hours. Thursday, 85 degrees and 86 on Friday. But the storms Thursday and Friday might be a little more widespread across the area. Here's how it plays out on TrueCast for tomorrow. You notice as this front starts to drop down to the south, we'll see these storms flare up. Probably not until after 5 o'clock. So until then, you're in good shape. And then we'll deal with scattered storms in the forecast, as I mentioned, for Thursday and Friday. Not a washout. There'll be plenty of dry hours mixed in as well. And as we get into Saturday and Sunday, we are back into the sunshine and the lower humidity. Temperatures, though, still above normal. Very summer-like forecast here straight across the board with highs that will be in the 80s.
All right, Todd, we'll take it. Thank you so much. Let's take a look here at traffic. This is 2 hour east I-70 at Mount Comfort Road. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed, both eastbound and westbound. Those orange barrels are pulled back out of the travel lanes in the shoulder, so not causing any delays in this spot this morning. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads, and we'll keep you updated on any areas you need to avoid.
We are continuing to follow the latest on the COVID-19 outbreak here in Indiana. The Indiana State Department of Health reports 9 new deaths from the virus. A total of 1,976 Hoosiers have died since the pandemic began. 292 cases have been confirmed. That number lower than those reported over the weekend. Nearly 266,000 people have been tested for the virus. A little more than 13% of them have tested positive.
So, Meredith, let's stay on the topic of COVID-19. The Food and Drug Administration now plans to allow more companies to make hand sanitizer, and that's because that's in great demand. The FDA says it will expand the kinds of companies allowed to make that product, and that's because, of course, of the high demand for sanitizer is outpacing the supply with this pandemic. On Monday, the federal agency said it will open restrictions to allow some ethanol producers to join production. But the FDA warns that this could mean allowing in some small amounts of impurities with their products.
Well, Raphael, nearly a decade later, U.S. astronauts have claimed victory in this ongoing game of Capture the Flag. The prize was left on the International Space Station by the last crew to launch from the U.S. back in 2011. The flag flew on the American Space Shuttle flight back in 1981. The win comes for SpaceX with a double victory of their first astronaut launch. Boeing is also expected to have its first piloted space launch next year.
Many people say they have not received their stimulus check yet. But what if you threw it away? Coming up, why some say the check looked like junk mail.
And did you know that 11.7% of non-Hispanic black adults in our country have diagnosed diabetes? RTV6 is a proud partner for this year's American Diabetes Association's Indiana Tour de Cure, and this year it's going virtual this upcoming Saturday, June the 6th. And based on Todd's forecast, we encourage you to be active, either by walking, running, or cycling. A good morning to Cloverdale, Crawfordsville, and Columbus. You're watching Good Morning Indiana, right here on RTV6.
The time right now is 6:24. Welcome back. It is time to talk about what is trending at 6. Let's start with Raphael.
So, Lauren and Meredith, in the spirit of The Bachelor, I feel like I have to take you to my hometown, though I'm not a bachelor, right? But let me take you to New York City, where New York artist Jorge Rodriguez Herrera wanted to find a way to pay tribute to the frontline healthcare workers who've lost their lives to the coronavirus. So he painted a 20,000-foot portrait of Dr. Ildefonso Decu on a parking lot in Queens. The doctor worked with a group that treated Hispanic and African American communities in that city. What an amazing piece of art. And look, happening in my old former hometown.
Very impressive.
There you go. Well, Raphael, people living in Mexico are doing what they can to help one another get through this pandemic. That includes throwing food off balconies and out of windows. Yeah, this is all for a donation campaign. Volunteer Raul Guerrera says that the goal is to get the necessary items into the hands of the people who need them the most, all while abiding by social distancing rules. Donations are given to the unemployed and impoverished children. There you go.
I'm guessing they don't do a dozen eggs, though.
Yes.
In that drop. All right, we want to give a shout out to the therapists at Community Rehabilitation Hospital North. These are some of the physical and occupational therapists. They have helped patients who had strokes after the virus or COVID patients who need rehab before going home. So many people in the healthcare industry playing a role in helping people get back on their feet and get healthy. So we love to see it. Thanks to them very, very much. All right, Todd. It is going to be hard out there today wearing your masks. It's going to be hot, but you know what? We got to do it anyways.
Yeah, you know, get used to it because really the next 7 days we're going to be talking about temperatures in the 80s. In fact, a couple days, including today, we'll get close to 90 degrees. With that said, this morning it is still pretty comfortable. So if you're thinking about an outdoor walk or maybe a run this morning or even voting today on primary day, this morning you're going to be in much better shape. Notice how quickly we warm up to close to 80 degrees already by the noon hour. And then high temperatures this afternoon, they will be topping off anywhere from about 85 to 90 degrees. Especially in western locations, you'll have the opportunity maybe to get to 90, 91 degrees, just slightly cooler off towards the east. But all these temperatures are above normal. Two other things to note. While it's hot today, the humidity doesn't come up a whole lot. And the other thing is the wind. That will pick up throughout the day and gust to about 20 miles per hour later on this afternoon.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, some people are still waiting on their $1,200 stimulus check.
But some people have reportedly thrown it away because it looks fake. Our consumer reporter John Matteries explains the confusion so you don't waste your money.
Still haven't received your stimulus check? Well, you won't like this. There's a chance you received it and threw it away. The Washington Post reports that some people tossed their stimulus check because it looked like a fake credit card or junk mail. Many people not receiving direct deposit of their stimulus expected a government check, like this one from the U.S. Treasury Department or the IRS. But instead, they're getting an envelope with Money Network cardholder services in the window. And they're tossing it without opening the letter, the Post says. Inside, they would find a Visa debit card loaded with your $1,200 stimulus. But some people assume it's a fake debit card. The IRS is doing this to speed up the process, but it won't be speedy if you accidentally throw it all away. My advice, if you still haven't received your stimulus check, do not throw away any piece of junk mail without opening it first, so you don't waste your money.
John, thank you. For more cost-saving tips and ideas, you can visit the money section of our website, theindychannel.com.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Here's a look at your 6:30 news feed on this Tuesday morning. The second night with an overnight curfew is now over. The curfew follows violent weekend protests, which damaged storefronts in downtown Indianapolis. Governor Holcomb has activated the National Guard. We'll have more on the protests following your Storm Team 6 forecast.
Indiana's delayed and revamped primary election is about to conclude with the final votes being cast. The coronavirus outbreak prompted state officials to push back the primary by 4 weeks and encourage mail-in voting. Well, now some are worried that mail-in ballots missing a deadline to be counted in the lines at in-person polling places as some counties slashed their number of voting sites.
Coca-Cola Consolidated is coming to Boone County. Coke will build a new $55 million distribution and automated warehouse in Whitestown. Warehouse and distribution employees will come from the Coke plant and Speedway. Other operations will be consolidated from other facilities. When fully operational, the warehouse will employ more than 450 people. 6:29 here on your Tuesday, June the 2nd. Thanks so much for joining us.
And Meredith, it's great to have you back here in the studio. Great to have someone else back with me here in the studio today. A lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this day, but we continue to social distance, including Rafael Sanchez from the official living room of RTV6 down there in Johnson County.
And it is Takeout Tuesday, Todd Clausen, so it's a great day, depending on your forecast, right, to get some ice cream and other assorted cool treats.
Yeah, you know, whatever you want, get out there to cool yourself off. And I encourage you to get outside and exercise today, but drink plenty of water if you do so, because it's going to warm up pretty quickly here throughout the course of the day today. Raphael, with a lot of sunshine, we're in the 50s and 60s this morning, so these temperatures are not bad at all. If you do want to exercise here this morning, 61 in Indy, 58 is the current temperature down in Bedford. And look at all this sunshine as you look from downtown to the north. Just a few fair weather clouds out there, and that is just about it. As we work our way throughout the course of the day, we'll build in a little bit of cloud cover this afternoon. We'll go from completely sunny here this morning to partly cloudy late in the afternoon hours. But overall, it's a decent day, even though we are getting above normal into the mid to upper 80s. There'll be a bit of a breeze today that'll kind of mix the air up a little bit to make it feel a little more refreshing. Won't be that stagnant, humid air mass today. But highs, again, well above normal. Tomorrow, the humidity comes back, as does the chance of storms. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads for your Tuesday commute. You can see the sun is out, so grab the sunglasses. This is a look on the west side. 465 and I-74 there near Crawfordsville Road. Traffic's moving along smoothly, both northbound and southbound on 465. No delays to slow you down.
Tests in the Circle City showing a dramatic change in pace on Monday. Between 6:30 and 7, protesters step by step began marching toward the governor's residence.
How this ends, we don't know. This has been a totally different script from what we saw on Friday.
At 8 o'clock, the mayor's curfew went into effect.
One of the, we'll designate him a leader here from this distance, is talking to another leader on the blue side, the police side.
Protesters and police still squaring off outside the governor's residence. Then a shift in the scene. After some moments of discussion, officers seen taking off their face shields and embracing protesters.
We have some people. We have police who hear us, who want the same justice and want the same peace that we do.
Before marching back toward downtown, locked in arms. It happened not downtown, but on the north side of the city, right outside of the governor's residence. That's where protesters were headed when they squared off with police. Our Alyssa Donovan live there this morning. Alyssa, this all happened after the curfew went into effect as well.
That's right. So they got to this intersection behind me right around 8 o'clock, and they were there until 9 o'clock. This is 46th and Meridian, and that's really where that square off between police and protesters happened. Police were lined up on that intersection. They were wearing face shields, and they were donning batons. They were up through these neighborhood yards as well. And after some back and forth between police and protesters, a lot of those officers took off those face shields and joined protesters as they marched back downtown. So a really powerful scene here last night after those protesters began to walk back towards the Circle City. The peaceful protest started at Monument Circle with people speaking about what they wanted to see changed. Protesters then marched 46 blocks up Meridian Street towards the governor's residence. When they were asked what the plan was, they said they wanted to talk to him, share their message. Along the way, drivers showed their support as they passed. Finally, they reached the intersection of 46th and Meridian, and that's where dozens of officers stood. One warning on a megaphone that the crowd had 5 minutes to disperse. That was around 8:40, but the crowd didn't leave. Then a brief moment where something was fired towards the crowd. We're not sure if that was tear gas or pepper bullets. But that is the most escalation that we saw. And slowly, the gap between the two groups disappeared. Representatives from both sides meeting in the middle to talk, and eventually, officers joined protesters in their march back downtown.
I wanted our message to be heard by the governor himself. I wanted the police to hear our message. The police hear us. We have some people. We have police who hear us, who want the same justice and want the same peace that we do.
And that march headed back to the circle around 9 p.m. That initial square off with police, as I said, was very tense, but it was also very powerful to see as police officers hugged protesters and joined them in their march. Again, we don't know if there are any protests planned for today or later this week, but the hope is if there are, they all end like this. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
The time now is 6:35 here on Good Morning Indiana, and last night's scene was much different from demonstrations over the weekend. As those peaceful protests ended, as you may recall, tensions simply escalated between Metro Police and some of the protesters. At a news conference Monday, Mayor Joe Hogsett said he had serious concerns about IMPD's use of force on peaceful protesters. The mayor said videos of specific incidents involving police and protesters will be reviewed. We don't know if any of the incidents our crews captured on Saturday is one of those being looked into, but officials say the department is looking into several videos to ensure policies and procedures were followed.
We have an obligation to examine and render judgment on the conduct of our police officers. Each and every time that force is used by an individual who has sworn their service to the public's protection.
Metro Police Chief Randall Taylor said specifically, and he had addressed a scene in which tear gas unintentionally hit a group of people holding a prayer service on Monument Circle. Chief Taylor said officers used the gas as they tried to arrest a person who was vandalizing the monument with spray paint.
And Raphael, Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears says he will not file charges against 41 nonviolent protesters who were arrested in downtown Indianapolis this past Friday and Saturday. Mears says each arrest was reviewed on a case-by-case basis. 14 suspects allegedly involved in looting from downtown businesses are facing burglary charges. Mears is also advising those who have allegations of improper conduct by city police officers to contact the Citizens Police Complaint Office.
Lauren, the exact cause of damage to downtown Indianapolis may be well into the 7 figures. More than 100 businesses in the downtown area reported some level of damage caused by the vandalism. This morning, volunteers are focused on the recovery and the rebound of their hometown.
Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
The scrubbing. The spraying from multiple bottles. A sense of civic duty brought this group of volunteers to help clean up downtown.
Like, who are we waiting on to clean up our home? That's like sitting at home waiting on someone to clean it up. And it's just not going to happen. So I'm just going to show a little initiative.
Indianapolis-based City Life Youth in Christ was behind the volunteers, and so were a number of other local groups.
We're not naive to know that opportunists had took this opportunity and seized the moment. They're not even residents of Indianapolis and came into our city and provoked something, trying to cause war between the blue community and our citizens. And we're here to let them know we see you, we know who you are, and we would like for y'all to leave our city.
Downtown Indy, the organization which represents the downtown merchants, says it's creating a website to organize other volunteering opportunities. It is also collecting funds to help with repairs not covered by insurance.
This is going to be a tough one, but I think over time, between now and the end of the year, we'll recover well.
Now, Downtown Indy says their volunteers will not work on any state monuments that were defaced because those monuments need extra care because of the limestone. Downtown Indy says that people who want to volunteer right now should hold off for a second. They've set up a website that you can go to, put your name and information, and they'll get back in contact with you. That website, downtownindy.org.
It's election day in the Hoosier State. After the break, what you can expect as you head to the polls.
Big announcement from Eli Lilly surrounding COVID-19 antibody therapy after the break when Indianapolis-based drug maker expects results from the first human trials. The time right now is 6:39 on your Tuesday. Stick around. We'll be right back.
What we need in the State House.
Today is Election Day, and while many Hoosiers chose to vote by absentee ballot, there are still folks who will be casting their votes in person.
So, Meredith, I got my I voted sticker. I voted absentee because, as you know, our schedules are so crazy, but people right now are voting in person. Our Kelsey Anderson is live this morning as people are casting their ballots, but they're doing it safely. Kelsey, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Raphael. So check out this line right here behind me. This is at Broad Ripple High School, just one of 22 voting stations here in Marion County. Normally they have more than 200. So quite the crowd out here this morning. And again, they're trying to maintain social distancing and they are encouraging people to wear masks. I'm here this morning with Russell Hollis. And tell me, what other precautions are you guys taking inside as voters come in to cast their vote?
So inside the voting locations, we have painter's tape on the floors that denotes that 6-foot social distancing rule. We also have election workers. They are required to wear masks. Some of the election workers are behind plexiglass, and election workers are passing out finger coats to the voters so that the voters are not directly touching the the voting machine, which is a touchscreen voting machine, as well as the electronic poll book.
And with only 22 places to vote in Marion County today, people should expect big crowds.
Yes, we are seeing a long line as a direct result of less polling locations. I do want to encourage voters that they can vote at any of the 22 Election Day vote centers. And if they want to know where they are, they can go to vote.indy.gov.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today. Some other races you will see on the ballot this year includes races for public question, federal races for such as President and House of Representative, state offices such as governor and state senators, county offices, and township offices. Now, don't forget to vote today. You will need to have a government-issued ID that needs to have your photo, your name, and an expiration date on it. Now, other voting places are asking that you bring your own black pen. That's not the case here in Marion County, but I do know in surrounding counties they are asking you to bring your own black pen. So just make sure you check that out before you head out to the polls today, and head over to theindychannel.com for everything you need to know. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. Voters in Beech Grove will actually make a decision on 2 school referenda this election day. If approved, the operating referendum would allow the district to increase each educator's salary. It will allow the district to hire 3 school resource officers and 3 guidance counselors. The construction referendum would allow for the district to build an early childhood center and make upgrades to existing buildings. If approved, the referenda would be phased in over 3 years. We can also tell you that voters in Washington Township schools here in Marion County also have 2 big money decisions to make. One is an operating referendum of $16 million a year for 8 years. The other is a construction referendum of $285 million.
The coronavirus continues to impact cities here in Indiana and across the country. After the break, the new numbers showing the impact the virus is having on nursing homes. Todd.
All right, as you get going here this morning, it's nice and comfortable. We have low humidity. Temperatures are currently sitting in the 60s. But as we go throughout the day on your drive-through forecast, we'll start to warm things up pretty quickly. We'll be into the 80s already by the lunch hour. The humidity remains pretty low throughout the day today. That is the good news. But it does turn windy as temperatures approach the mid to upper 80s later on this afternoon. We'll dive into this forecast and look ahead to the rest of the week and into the weekend coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues.
Christina Hale, and I approve this message.
We're keeping track of the impact the coronavirus is having on Hoosiers and Indiana's healthcare system. As of Monday, the State Department of Health reports 1,976 deaths from COVID-19. More than 265,000 Hoosiers have been tested for COVID-19. 13% of those have been positive. According to the Regan Streif Institute, 17% of Indiana's coronavirus patients have been hospitalized and 65% have recovered. New numbers show a glimpse of how the coronavirus has impacted nursing homes. About 80% of homes have now reported cases and deaths to the CDC. Nearly 26,000 nursing home residents account for the nation's death toll, and more than 60,000 account for case numbers. Health officials aren't sure how much bigger the numbers will be once the remaining 20% of homes submit data. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services say all the information will be made available to the public on Thursday.
So, Meredith, the first human trial of an antibody therapy to treat COVID-19 is now underway. And look to Indianapolis for this therapy, because Indianapolis-based Eli Lilly and Company announcing patients in New York, Los Angeles, and Atlanta are now receiving the treatment. The company's chief scientific officer says as soon as the pandemic started, his team went to work to create a new medicine against the disease. The medicine was a result of a blood sample from one of the first U.S. patients who recovered from COVID-19. Researchers then sorted through millions of the patient's cells to find hundreds of the antibodies. The trial's first phase will test whether the therapy is safe and well tolerated, with results expected later this month.
The time now is 6:49. People who have been working from home during this pandemic are now realizing it comes at a cost. Utility companies say residential bills have risen in the past 2 months. They're up 20% and even higher in some places compared to this time last year. They say the bills will continue to rise through the summer as more people switch on their air conditioners during the day. Remote workers also say that they're spending more on cell phone bills and equipment. And Todd, I know there are some people that have probably been holding off on switching on the air conditioning because it's been kind of cool the past few days, but I don't know, they may want to do that today because it's going to get pretty warm out here.
You know, I think the air conditioners will be getting cranked on here in the coming days. Not so much this morning, it's not too bad, but we're going to start to heat things up after what has been a nice little break with comfortable temperatures and lots of sunshine from the weekend into yesterday. Here's a live look from downtown to the north, and you can see just some fair weather clouds out there this morning, and that's the way it's going to be throughout the day today. Although as we get into the afternoon hours, just like yesterday, we could build in just a little bit more in the way of more significant cloud cover. But look at these temperatures in the 50s and 60s. This is the way we want to start our day. Pretty seasonable here. 59 in Greencastle as well as Columbus, 63 in Bloomington, Indianapolis up into the Crawfordsville area sitting at 61 degrees. There's the high clouds on the satellite radar picture, but I'll expand out for you and you could see a couple things. The rain off to our east. That was the few spotty showers that were able to sneak in here yesterday afternoon, but off to our west, there's really not a whole lot going on. But as this warmer air starts to come in, it's not completely out of the question that there could be a stray shower or two that flares up later on this afternoon in the peak heating of the day. But look at these highs, well above that normal high of 78, about 87 today in Tipton. Western locations, you'll have the best potential to get up to right around 90 degrees in Lafayette as well as Rockville and Terre Haute. 86 today in Bedford, then in around the metro area looking at highs in the 85 to 87 degree range with that mixture of sun and clouds. As far as the rain chances go, I know I just mentioned there's the chance of a spot sprinkle in the forecast, but I didn't even think it was high enough to put into the slight category. But as we get into the coming days, rain chances do return in the form of scattered showers and thunderstorms. This is TrueCast for today. There's that spot sprinkle chance, nothing major whatsoever. Do not cancel any plans that you may have outdoors. Tomorrow, a little better chance of storms, but they're not until after about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Until then, you are going to be dealing with partly cloudy skies. You can see on TrueCast now for Wednesday how those storms will start to flare up and expand across the area anytime after that 3 to 4 o'clock hour. The problem is that's a front coming through, and that front's just going to kind of linger across the area for Thursday and Friday. So that's when we'll deal with scattered showers and storms as we work our way into Saturday and Sunday. We're looking at mostly sunny skies and high temperatures that will be in the mid-80s, but the humidity comes down for the weekend. So it looks like 2 great weekends in a row weather-wise. Just have a few storms starting tomorrow to get through before we get there.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's plan out your drive as you're heading out on the roads. Here's a look in Fishers. Good morning to you. I-69 here at State Road 37. Traffic is moving along up to speed both northbound and southbound. Looks like a pretty smooth morning commute.
The best of humanity can often be brought out during the toughest of times. After the break, the heartwarming moment during a protest in Florida. We'll be right back.
It's 7 on WRTV.
Welcome back. A Virginia animal control deputy has made quite a name for himself, and that name is the Eagle Whisperer. Stafford County Sergeant Anthony McCall just rescued his 19th bald eagle. McCall says over the years, calls for injured bald eagles has increased. The latest rescued bird was found on the railroad tracks. McCall works closely with local animal shelters in rehabilitating these birds. The Eagle Whisperer has embraced his unofficial nickname and his newfound calling. That's pretty awesome. Wow.
That is awesome. And we're also seeing many moments of positivity emerging from the protests across the country. We've seen it here in Indianapolis, but now let me take you down to Florida. The Florida Highway Patrol Captain Roger Reyes never had an experience quite like this one. Activist Renita Holmes was on her scooter trying to keep things from escalating between the troopers and the protesters. In the moment, the 26-year veteran trooper reached out and embraced Holmes, saying that this is all about humanity. Good scenes to see across the country.
Yeah, seeing a lot more moments like that, which is what all of us want right now. We also want the rain to stay away, Todd. Temps are rising. It's going to be a pretty nice day out there. People need to get outside, though, if they want to get out today, because it's going to change tomorrow.
Yeah, plenty of opportunity today. It does get a little warm and breezy this afternoon, but the humidity stays down today. That is the good news, with a high rate around 87. Tomorrow, close to 90. The humidity is higher. Some PM storms tomorrow after 4 o'clock. Then more scattered storms Thursday and Friday.
Todd, thanks. We're back here in 25 minutes and all throughout Good Morning America.
All your news throughout the day is on the RTV6 app. We hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Get out there and vote.